All right, welcome to the Main Basketball Rankings podcast, a sporadically recorded show um, that had larger ambitions, but life got in the way. With me today is Adam Robinson of Twitter fame and other things. Thank you for joining me, Adam.
Hey, thanks for having me. I totally get the sporadic podcast thing. Totally get it.
It should be a thing. It should be a format.
Yeah.
And I realized about 2 minutes before we got on the thing that I've been wearing a Potomac Valley hat all day, and the we're gonna talk about Oceanside, and I'm gonna wear a Potomac Valley hat, and I'm gonna get so much shit for this.
Yep.
But my hair is a disaster because I've been wearing a hat all day.
Yeah, exactly.
So
That's all
what
right.
are you gonna do?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So first of all, we're gonna talk about two things. We're gonna talk about because you got to go quick. So we're gonna talk about Mr. Basketball. And we're gonna talk about Orono Oceanside.
Yep.
So first off, Mr. Basketball. Let's set the stage a little bit here. And I had plans of bringing up the whole semifinal list so I could read them off, but the hell with it. So I think what people don't get, there's two things people don't get about this. Is one, it's a 4-year award and not Gatorade Player of the Year.
Right.
And so your freshman year matters, although this year the freshman year matters less because COVID, and that was the COVID year with the COVID Cup, and a lot of the Southern Maine teams didn't play anything at all.
Right.
But it does matter that you've the other years other than this one. And the other thing is, so the semifinalists, and I knew this and had forgotten it, the semifinalists, I don't know if you knew this, are not decided by the committee.
Oh.
So what happens is all the coaches submit a ballot of their ranked, I think it's 10, and that determines the semifinalists.
Oh, okay. Got it. That makes sense.
So it does make sense. And I think that's why you get some of the things you get in there, because I would assume the double A people are going to nominate double A people.
Yeah.
And the D people are going to nominate D people.
Right.
And they're going to more heavily weight that than a committee might.
Yeah, definitely. Like you get the Ashton Leclerc from Gorham, and then you also get Dylan Burpee from Southern Aroostook. You get the two
Right.
Right.
Right. And that might explain why we don't have Nate Bear in there, because a lot of the Southern Maine voting probably went to Leclerc and more heavily weighted towards him.
Yeah. Right.
Although he should be there.
I
think I think him and Chris Simons are the two big omissions on the list. And there's some people who have been pushing for some other people, and it's just like, guys, I don't think they're next in line.
Yeah.
I don't know if they were snubbed exactly.
Right.
They might be 15th.
10's a lot anyways for semifinalists, and I'm glad they do 10 so that we can get some names out there and recognize. Right.
Yeah, because it's just getting on the list is an amazing accomplishment. I mean, I didn't get anywhere near the list.
No. Right. Basketball. Yeah. It's
there's
awesome.
a lot.
It's the entire state of seniors. Yeah. It's a great list to be on.
Yeah. And okay, so then the committee gets the list, and the committee is 5 people. It's 3 retired coaches, theoretically 1 from the South, 1 from the Central, and 1 from the North, and then 2 media members, and no one has any idea who that list is.
Yep.
Apparently.
Right.
Although I know one of the names on the women's side.
Okay.
But I'm not going to blow up anyone's spot.
No, right. No, I've never learned. I've always been curious. I've talked to people, they don't really know. So yeah, it adds to the fun when the list comes out. Exactly.
Right. But as Steve Carmichael keeps saying, someone should at some point say, here's what we were thinking.
Yeah.
And I think that would clear up a lot of things.
Right.
And I don't know if they're like afraid of like a lynch mob showing up at their house.
Yeah.
Or what's going on.
Because with every other award, like the Heisman or MVP stuff in pro sports, I know this is high school, obviously, but you get everyone's ballots, like the AP top 25 in college basketball. You get everyone's ballots as they're public. And so I think it would do a lot to show how people voted and voted for who, and where they're from, and if that put into anything, because this stuff kind of matters to us and a good portion of people too. So
most of Facebook.
Yeah, most of Facebook, right. And people in my Twitter mentions that I've never met before.
Who are hell-bent on telling you exactly what's wrong with it.
Yeah.
So okay, so we have now three semifinalists, and this is where it got really dicey this year because I think the consensus is that we have four people for three spots,
Yeah.
and we don't have a like the girls' side. It's Maddie Fitzpatrick. We've all known that for a long time.
Yeah. What a career.
So what a career! She's amazing. She almost had a triple double in the regional final in 18 minutes
Yeah, with foul trouble. Exactly. You and I were both at that
in
game.
foul trouble.
She was phenomenal. She just made every single right play from beginning to end. It was great.
Yeah, she's amazing. Anyway, so what we got our finalists are we have Zach McLaughlin, Carter Galley, and Chance Mercier. And then the omission is Pierce Walston.
Yep.
I've heard a theory. So this is a theory I've heard, and I'm not going to take credit for this, but I'm also not going to say who told me it because I'll tell you later.
Right.
Um, the theory is that the list should be Walston, Galley, and Mercier, but they don't want an all B list,
Yeah. Right. No,
which kind of makes sense.
I mean it does if you think about it, because they threw in Zach McLaughlin, who um a North Hamden, stellar year, can really score the basketball. We all know this. We've watched him. Has had a tremendous tournament, but
Hmm.
Pierce Walston has a championship ring and is going to play for a second. Um,
Right.
and so, right there might be some credence to the not wanting an all B North um, final panel, but also if we're looking at the top players, um, it's hard to not put Pierce Walston in. I didn't know where you wanted to go with this,
Right.
but I've
Yeah,
already played
that's
my
kind
hand.
of where I'm going.
Yeah.
I mean, he had. I pulled up the box score from the state game last year. He had 12 points and 8 assists in a state championship game
Yep.
and 4 steals, and he was tremendous in that game. He's been
Yes.
tremendous in the whole tournament. So my thing has been, and I'm going to amend this a little bit, and I might have
Oh,
just
I
lost
think I lost
Adam,
you.
or I lost myself. We'll see. Anyway, we'll see how this works out.
Okay.
My thing has been, I don't think you can be Mr. Basketball if you haven't played on won a quarterfinals. What I've been saying in your first 3 years, but I'm going to amend that a little bit to be like you to say if you haven't played on the big stage in your first 3 years.
Uh,
And did you catch that? Because we might have cut out again.
I think we did cut out. I heard that
Okay.
you said something about a quarterfinal and then I lost you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I think you have to play on the big stage in your first 3 years in order to have a serious case at Mr. Basketball, and it's been done. Troy Barnes won Mr. Basketball without appearing on the big stage in his first 3 years,
Yeah.
but he's an exceptional case, and I don't think anyone has had the sort of senior year that to justify that.
Right.
And so McLaughlin, I've been saying it wrong?
McLaughlin. Yeah.
McLaughlin.
At least them, that's how they pronounce their name. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I've been told there's two different Heberts pronunciations from the family themselves. So, okay, so he has not played on. Wow, this is our internet is just being really bad. He has not played on the big stage in his first 3 years. So
Right.
for me, I think he's off the list.
Yeah. It's nothing against. I've interviewed him plenty of times. I love him. He's a great player, great kid. This isn't to say that I'm not a fan, but if we're going by criteria of a career, if this is a career award, and you're trying to take one guy of those off the list, I think it's Zach.
Yeah, because I mean, I wrote in the Bangor Daily News today that the and my joke that Portland points mean more. But the bigger version of that is it's great if you can score 40 points against Mount Blue in January, but it means a lot more if you can score 30 points against Mount Blue at the Civic Center,
Yeah.
with the entire state watching.
Yeah.
It's just the bigger stage means more, and we've seen people have their first game on the big stage and not play well at all.
Right. And to Zach's credit, he's had a real good playoff.
Hmm.
And this is his first year really getting deep into the playoffs with Hamden. So credit there, but it's a career thing. And you brought up Pierce's run last year, went face to face with Chance Mercier, who was coming off the Ellsworth was coming off the state game last year, beat Chance and Ellsworth, and then this year did the same thing and has had another tremendous playoff run leading that Orono team by far, like the unquestioned leader, senior, everything there. His resume is just really good. Carter Galley, Much has been made about him, his scoring, and his brother as well, Cohen, who was a semifinalist. They're going back to the state game, and then Chance Mercier, I think, is the case where he's gotten deep into the playoffs, and he's also just phenomenal all around player. So I think it makes sense to put him in.
And he's got like 1,700 points, career
Right.
points, which
Yeah.
is those are big numbers. Those are Mr. Basketball numbers.
Yeah.
People have won with far less than that.
Yeah.
But I think the knock on him is he was not good in the semifinals.
No.
I was there. He did not play well in that game,
No.
and Orono really handled him. And I think, if Pierce Walston wins his gold ball, I I think he's Mr. Basketball, and he's not even a finalist.
Yeah, I would agree too.
I mean, if he has a big game, then I think it's him. If he and Carter both have a big game, I think it's Carter.
Yep.
Because I think Carter's in the lead right now.
I would say so too, just because of maybe how much of has been made about Oceanside season and how special he's been the last 2 years. I would say he's in the lead, and I don't know how much. Do you know? This is another mysterious part. Do you know when the votes are cast? Because last year, when Will Davies won from Thornton Academy, I thought Brady Saunders of Brewer was going to win, fresh off the Class A state title game. I don't know when the votes are cast though, and I don't know if him winning the title game even mattered to the voters.
Well, the website says that the votes are cast after this Class A tournament, which means they haven't updated it since we went to 5 classes.
Okay,
So
perfect.
I don't know.
Yeah,
So, but I think it's after. It would make sense that it would be after everything because it's not like they have to mail them in or
right.
anything like that. I think it's a Zoom call
Yeah, it
to
probably.
figure this out.
Yeah,
Um, I missed a bunch of what you said there because you're cutting out. So hopefully I don't repeat you. Um, but I think Carter's in the lead, and even everyone had that sort of rough semifinal.
yeah,
All of the top contenders. But the point I've been making to people is in the Carter Galley semifinal, he didn't score because Madamic really threw everything they had at him not scoring, but he did other things. And you were there for that. He
yeah.
played he played great defense. He got other people
Hmm.
involved. He did other stuff whereas some other people who had bad semifinals, they were maybe the reason their team didn't advance or they did very little and their team advanced in spite of them.
Yeah.
And they don't win that game without him
No, they don't. He was real special in that game, and you're right. Madamic did legitimately everything they could to stop him, and
other than make baskets.
well, right, and I was yeah. Neither team shot well in that game. Had a lot of hype around it, and then he bounced back and had a great regional final. So, um,
Yeah.
yeah, and then Pierce and Chance battled. I keep thinking Pierce is a semifinalist, but or a finalist, but they both battled and weren't phenomenal. Especially Chance, he struggled in that game against Orono, um,
Mhm.
and so yeah. But I mean, they've all bounced back, and they're uh, going to state games here. So I'm curious if it's after the game. And what I was saying was just last year, I didn't know if Brady Saunders, coming off of a state championship, even would have swung any votes at all in that last year's voting or not.
I was surprised he didn't win.
So was
So
I. Yeah,
I thought he was going to win.
right.
Um,
And so that just it goes into, and then we can't ever learn about what they thought and why they voted a certain way or anything like that, and it's very frustrating.
Even the NCAA, when they have Selection Sunday, they push the one guy out there. And he goes, "Whoa, we
Yeah,
thought
right. They have the
this and
sacrificial
that."
lamb, right? That comes
Yeah,
out. And, yeah,
send us a sacrificial lamb. Come on here. Hopefully, the internet will work better.
right.
And I would like to ask some questions.
Yeah,
So you've got to get going. So real quick,
yeah. Let's go.
what are your thoughts on Orono Oceanside?
Oh man, I can't wait. I'm so excited. Because I mean, last year's final. This is a rematch, and Orono won last year down at the Expo in Portland because I think they had to move the game because of like weather or something.
It was a blizzard. Yeah.
Yep. And Orono had a good sized lead in the fourth, and then the Galley brothers just went Super Saiyan and hit all the threes at the end. I had my story all written. I was ready to go, and I had to delete all of it because the
They
Galleys
do
just
that.
couldn't miss. But Orno made some stops. Will Francis was big at the end, and they got a win. And so I'm so excited because there's been so much talk about Oceanside and them beating teams when it turns out it was just one athletic director, right? That complained,
Yeah, pretty much.
but it turned into this larger than life thing. And we've had people like Dana White talking about it correctly or
Can't wait
incorrectly.
to meet him tomorrow.
Yeah, he'll be there. Yep, to watch the team. And so I know that they'll be ready to go, and they have that big center, the freshman. The name is blocking out in my
Ripley.
head. Um, so they're better, and Pierce Walston is um, just as good, and I think has a lot of the same guys. They're coming off the football 8-man state championship. They bring back pretty much
Hmm.
everybody from last year's team. The Francis brothers are really crucial, and in the second half, man, Orono locks in and they defend and they start to hit shots and they all feed off Pierce, and so I'm just truly so excited.
And they're similar to Madomic, and they have the length to bother the galleys.
Yes,
One of the reasons that, and then I'll since I'm wearing the hat, I might as well hype him up a little bit.
right,
One of the reasons Madomic is able to be successful against him and has been successful against them in all 3 games, just couldn't get over the hump in any of them for varying reasons, is they've got Gabe Lash, and Gabe
yeah,
Lash is just a phenomenal defender,
yep,
and he's long, and he spent all summer on the Maine United
yep,
team, and he's just one of the, I mean, I think he's one of the 5 best defenders in the state.
hmm,
And if you got a guy like that on your team, you can cause problems for pretty much anyone. And Orono's got guys like that
yep,
with the Francis brothers.
yep. Yeah, Will Francis might be the best athlete on the court tomorrow night. He's incredible in track, really awesome in football, and he's just hyper athletic in basketball and makes a lot of great plays. And I talked to Pierce yesterday for a little blog thing I'll be writing, but I asked him if playing the game this year up in up in Bangor, will make a difference, because I was talking about his passion and his electricity. Just after every turnover, he's pumping the crowd up. And I asked if playing in Bangor will help. It's closer to Orono, obviously, and he said yeah, and he's real excited for the fan base to travel and watch. So I couldn't be more excited. I think Orono has a legitimate chance to knock them down. I've been saying it all year, but if Oceanside hits a bunch of shots and wins by 15, I would also say, yep, that makes sense.
The fun thing is that it's also closer for Oceanside than Portland is.
Yeah,
So,
right. It
so
helps
they
both
should
teams.
draw a pretty big crowd.
Yeah. No, that place
And I think
will be filled.
we saw in the regional final, you can hold that offense down for only so long,
Yep.
and then it's like a pressure cooker. They're
Mhm.
just going to explode at some point. And it's just the question of, do you have a big enough lead when they do it?
Yep.
And I've been telling people all year, because I've been watching them firsthand for years. And I tell people, like, there's very few teams. Coaches always say we got to guard for 32 minutes, but that's a team where you really do have to guard for 32 minutes.
Yes.
Because if you guard for 31 minutes, they're going to go on a 12-0 run,
Yeah. I mean, they did it
and
in
then
the
you're done.
yeah, they did it in the state game last year and almost uh, stole the
Yeah.
championship away from Orono. I'll just say this, that Orono in the second half this year, I mean, in their last regular season game against Old Town, they weren't playing that great in the first half, even first 3 quarters, and then the last quarter they just hit everything, and they were defensively really stout, and they turned up with the win against Caribou in the first round. Same
Mhm.
thing, second half they turned it on. Against Ellsworth, they had a pretty good lead throughout, and they were able to just kind of hold on to the ball, which is a whole different podcast. Um, and so, yeah, in the second half, man, they're really, really, that's where they make their money. So I'm truly fascinated to see that kind of chess match in the second half, if there's any kind of adjustments either team make, and what the score looks like. Because if Orono's playing from behind, 6, 8, 10 points, that's a totally different game.
Right. Right. All right. Well, I'll let you go because you got stuff to do. You gonna be there tomorrow in Bangor?
Yeah, I'll be there, and
Sweet.
you can follow me on Twitter, Funk Flashy Rob, and I'll have some stuff out, and hopefully some writing stuff. And uh, can't wait to see you all there. Can't wait for the games.
All right. Awesome. Thank you so much for doing this. That's the show. Hopefully, you're probably listening to this on your way to Bangor. So if you are, come bother either one of us. Come say hi,
Yep,
and we will see if we can get another one of these episodes. If I can get another one of these episodes before the state games on Saturday, we'll see. All
perfect.
right. That's the show. Thank you so much for listening. Do all the things.
Thanks, Lucas.
Thank you.